Hey everyone, blankdash here, and today we are going to be taking a look into kioptrix 4. During our initial scan, we find port 80 and 22 open, which leads us to a login page. Then we discover a subdirectory leading to a potential username through which we gain access to a SQL database. Logging in through SSH, we are given a limited shell. Escaping out of it leads to more enumeration and privilege escalation through MySQL database. That being said, let's get started with our nmap. nmap-sc-sv-oa. Let's output that into kioptrix 4 and double dash reason, double dash open, dash EPTP verbose, then 025. That should work. We find 22 open, 80. Probably Samba and basically Samba on 445 and 139. Since we have 80 and 22 open, let's take a look into 80. Let's see if we find anything there. Then 025, and that is a login page. Let's also check the source. There isn't much here except for check login.php. Let's do admin login, wrong username or password. So that leads to check login.php. Okay, so while we try something here, let's go ahead and do some directory search, right? Let's try to brute force some of the subdirectories. Sudo opt dir search .py. Let's do 10025 and let's look for HTML and PHP. Let's use the word list, user share word list dir p, I guess, common.txt. This should do fine in most cases. If this doesn't work, let's go for big.txt or any other word list from a different file. So while that's running, let's go ahead and let's do admin, send this to burp, and let's see if we get something out of it. Burp login. So we should have the request in burp. There it is. So this is kind of the request. Let's send this to repeater. Send to repeater, and in repeater, let's actually go ahead and send this request to see what happens. It says wrong username and password, 200. Okay. And I've knew that. Tick mark, double dash, and a dash. So what I'm trying to do is to comment out the password. So if there is a user called admin, it's not going to check the password and then try logging in. That doesn't work as well. We can try something else like or 1 equals 1, and that's commented as well. Let's do URL encode. Let's do just Control U to encode that and then send. That doesn't work as well. So we don't know if it's vulnerable to SQL injection, but there is a possibility. Looking into the result from dir search, we can see there is a subdirectory called John, which leads to 10025/John, and then there is logout, member, server status, and so on. What's interesting is John. The reason that it is interesting is because looks like some kind of a username. Maybe like if we could figure out either brute force the password or figure out if we could log in through the username, that could help. That is john.php, and clicking on john.php just results to the login page. John, just some kind of a random password. No. So we can either try brute forcing or let's see if we can do something with this, right? So instead, if I do John, tick mark, double dash and a dash, and URL encode this and send this. Say it's wrong username and password again. So one thing that I can do is save this to a file and kind of send it to SQL map. So SQL map is going to take care of it. Let's save it as request.txt. Let's go SQL map dash r request.txt, and then let's do level for 5, risk to be 3. And what do we need? First, we need to know what are the databases are there. If we can enumerate the database, so double dash dbs to enumerate the database, batch to go ahead and automate the process. Hope this works. Did I miss anything out? I hope not. So let this thing keep running. Okay, so it has already run. It did take a little bit of time, but yeah. So you see we have like 3 available databases. So we have information schema, members, and MySQL. Member seems interesting, and also MySQL seems interesting. So let's choose members and let's see what members are there, and hopefully if we could kind of take advantage of it. Control R to do a reverse search. SQL map dash R request. I think this is from my previous kioptrix stuff. So let's choose members. I'm just looking for tables here, so I'll change this to tables. I don't want to dump, so there it goes. So it's just trying to, okay, what did I do wrong? Dash D members. Yeah, it's request.txt. And then what do we have? We have one table in members. In the database members, we have like literally one table. Maybe like we can choose the table and see what we got there. I think it's capital T to choose the table. Dash capital T. Members. Columns. Let's also dump everything out. Okay. So what we have here is a username and password, right? One is for John and one is Robert. But the point here is that this one is vulnerable to SQL injection. So through burp, we might kind of do something without using SQL map 2. But here we go. We have the username for John, and then the password for John as well. And then there is a user called Robert, and then there is looks like base 64, or maybe this is the password, we don't know. So let's try decoding it. Maybe echo that, and let's pipe it to base 64-D to decode, and then nothing. It says invalid input. Okay, probably this is the whole thing that could be a password, we don't know yet. But what could have we done in burp, or what could we have done in the web form, right? Let's go ahead and check. Here we know the username is John, so we don't really have to comment out anything. We don't even need to write an or condition or stuff like that. And if you clearly take a look into what SQL map has done or SQL map has done, let's take a look into what is the payload that it is using, so we kind of get an understanding out of it. The payload that it's using is my username equals John and my password equals a -9298, and then there is an or condition that says 9449 equals 9449, and then a comment. So this is what it's putting it in the password field. So we can try that as well. It's still going to work, but we're just trying to understand how this thing works in this case, right? So what it's trying to do is it's trying to check if the password is this particular number, a negative of 9298. If it's not a negative of 9298, it's doing an OR condition, and it's going to check if 9449 is equal to 9449, and then it's commenting out the whole, the rest of the thing that comes after. So if I'm going to send this request, you can see so you can see login success, right? So that works. But what we can do is we can, instead of checking for the password to be a negative of whatever number that is, you can write whatever, right? You can pretty much write anything, some random junk, for instance something like please subscribe, and then we can do an OR condition and check for if 1 is equal to 1, right? It's still going to work. Probably we'll remove this junk, whatever this is here, and we can encode this and send it. Let's see if this thing works. And it works. We have login success.php. So essentially what it's doing is, if it's checking if this is the correct password, if this is not correct password, then it's doing a condition to check whatever we write in the condition. So we can even request this in browser. Let's copy that, go to our browser, just turn the pub thing on, and then paste that. So yeah, and then it logs in. So you can see the username to be John, and the password is my name is John. So it says members control panel. If we take a look into the source, we do not find pretty much anything except for logout.php. So this could be a password for SSH, because we saw SSH open. We can try logging in this password. We also know that that might be another user called Robert. So we can even try looking into Robert's files and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and let's see what we get. Let this thing be. Let's go to the top one. Let's do clear SSH John at 10025, and I think pretty much that's it. My name is John, and we are logged in. So this says Ligo shell is in place, so you don't screw up. Let's try to execute some command like ls. Nothing's there. ls-la. We have just the regular files. We don't see anything odd. Sudo-l forbidden, so we are not allowed to use sudo. Can we read files? Just checking if we can read files. That's not there. That doesn't work. Okay, so it says, hey, you are not allowed to run a bunch of different commands. You can either type in help or put in a question mark to see what is allowed in this case. So this is kind of a limited shell. We kind of need to figure out how we can escape out of this limited shell, right? So let's put up a question mark, and it says we can run cd to change directory, clear to clear. So yeah, we are able to clear the screen. We can do echo, we can do exit, help, ll, path, ls, and so on. Let's go ahead, take a look into the reverse shell cheat sheet, or I think not the reverse shell cheat sheet. How to spawn a TTY, right? Or spawn a TTY. This is from NetSec. And you see we have, so we can actually use echo to spawn a TTY, right? So it says if you kind of have access to echo, you can simply use echo to abuse its privilege to spawn a TTY. Just makes a system call. So echo os.system, and let's do /bin/bash to spawn a bash shell, and we have a bash shell. So can I do sudo/l now? we can, so my name is John. Okay, that's there. It says user John may not run sudo on kioptrix 4. So we kind of need to figure out a way to escalate privilege, because if you see we are John, and if we list everything in home, possibly there should be another user. So we have like a couple of users. We have Lone Fred and we have Robert. Since we saw the SQL database, we can go there and check if there is a file that contains some kind of an important credentials. Let's do cd where www, and let's see. So we have two directories, one for John and one for Robert. Let's take a look into Robert. Let's see if we find anything important there. So we have robert.php. We are into where www, we find John and Robert. So I'm going to list everything in John. We have john.php. List everything in Robert. We have robert.php. We also have other PHP files like check login, login success, logout, and stuff like that. So let's kind of do, maybe like we can try read files and extract sensitive information there. Let's do grep and yeah, so let's do that. I just wanted to find everything in the current directory. Yeah, so everything in the current directory that contains the word password, this is trying to find everything that is in the current directory that no, not the current directory. This is going to try and find everything in the root, but here I'm saying, hey, just find everything in the current directory, highlighted with colors so that it looks better. And then we find few information. So index.php 18 and 21, we find the word password. Nothing relevant, nothing informative. We have check login.php, password null, and yeah, nothing. So we have database.sql, nothing. So robert.php, there is password. John.php, that is password, and if you clearly notice, these both are for MySQL. So if MySQL doesn't have password, we can maybe like try logging in using the username. So we first need to kind of know the username. So let's go ahead and check those files. Let's do less john.php or robert.php, both is gonna work. You can see the host name is localhost, and we have the username root and no password. So for MySQL, that is no password. Which MySQL? So it's user bin MySQL, MySQL-u root to log in. Let's do a help and let's see what's available. So it says we kind of have to type the semicolon after every command that we type. Let's take a look into the databases that are available. Show databases. Yeah, so show databases. We have three databases. We saw this already in SQL map. We had databases like MySQL, members, and information schema. And we know what's there in members. It's probably John and Robert and their passwords. Our interest right now is in MySQL. So let's use MySQL and see what happens. Show tables to see the available tables in that database. What do we have? We have quite a number of tables that are available. User seems to be something that could lead somewhere. Tables priv, prox priv, prox, and func db columns priv. These are few things that we can query and see if we find anything there. Let's go for users. Maybe that could give us some kind of an information. Let's do select star from user, and that does not look nice. So we do not really find anything useful here. Probably some kind of information like the list of privileges that are assigned to one user, maybe, but I don't really find anything useful here, except yeah, we don't really find anything useful here. Let's query for a different table, show tables, and let's query for this select star from tables priv. I guess it's just going to show us the privileges. It's empty, so let's do prox. That's empty too. Let's do func, and we have a couple of functions in the table. One is lib, mysql, stuff like that. Let's copy it. Let's see what that can do. And while that's searching, let's also copy this sysexec. This looks like some kind of function that can execute stuff in MySQL. So let's search for that too. So what do we have here? Says MySQL UDF sys functions. Okay. Seems like some kind of a library. So let's take a look into the other one. Okay, they both are pretty much related, I guess. Let's take a look into what Stack Overflow has to say. Okay. Okay, so essentially what this says is that if you have sysexec, you can use that to execute some kind of a command, right? So let's try doing that. Let's go to our terminal and let's do select 6exec, and let's do, since this thing runs as root, MySQL runs as root, we can, if this is going to execute commands, we can use that to do something as root, right? Let's try to maybe like copy bin dash or bash, whatever you need. Let's copy that to a temporary directory and let's own that. Own root, and let's also do chmod plus sx. Let's make it executable and also set UID bit. Okay, what are we trying to own? We are trying to own the one that we copy to temp dash. So dash is just another shell. So yeah, hope that works. I think we have to close that. Yes, let's do does it work? Let's exit. Let's move to temp and see if it's there. So we have dash there, and if we look into the privilege, we can see this is owned and run as root, while other users can access that. Executing dash, what do we get? I am root. Now we can go ahead and spawn a bash shell if you need, but you get the point, right? We basically are root in this particular kioptrix machine 4. So that's it for the box. Hope you enjoyed the video and see you guys next time.